Could using a modified gun in a self-defense incident land you in jail? In this video, we'll answer that question with top criminal defense attorney Tom Grieve, and he's a former state prosecutor. But first, before we get going, let me let you know that we have a gun giveaway. It's going on right now, and it ends soon. All you need to do is click in that link down below in the description, and we'll let you know which brand new gun you can win. All right, Tom, modified gun question comes up again. Can using a modified firearm land you in jail? And modified is such an amorphous term. There's so many things. I'm thinking if you modified your shotgun by cutting the barrel down to like 9 inches, that might land you in jail. But otherwise, let's talk about modifications to your gun, and are they legal, and what benefit or what power does a modified gun give to the prosecutor?
And I can hear people typing it out. He's assuming, folks, that you did not do a Form 1. Like, let's just be clear.
Right.
So look, but that's a great starting off point, right? Of, well, illegal modifications, no go, right? Drilling extra holes, playing with things that ought not be played with, that can get you into some trouble. So just, you know, let's just kind of put that in a box, put it on the shelf, and move on. I think one of the big things people are, or at least the biggest thing I'm always asked is triggers, right? Well, what if I lighten the trigger? Hey, I bought this Smith & Wesson 686, and you know, it's got a 12-pound double action trigger pull or something like that. What if I take that down to a 7, make it nice and clean and crisp, and I'm still getting good primer strikes on it? Is that going to be good? Or more realistically, I've got a 5.5-pound Glock trigger pull from the factory. Rather than putting an 8-pound New York City trigger in it, what if I drop that down to like a 2-pound, you know, a 2-pound competition trigger?
Yeah, 2-pound just makes me shudder all over.
Right. Yeah. It's in and of itself, I don't have a problem with trigger modifications, provided that they are done responsibly. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the fact that if, God forbid, you ever have to use your firearm in a self-defense situation, or just out and about, right, that things are working. Number one, safety, safety, safety. Safety means two things. It's only going off when you want it to, and it is going off when you want it to, okay? It should not have negligent discharges. If your firearm is unable to be operated safely, done.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. Number two is, or another thing to keep in mind is, you have to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, an enterprising prosecutor may absolutely try to use any modification against you. There's no denying that fact. So understand that if you're going to dip your toe into this pool, that, hey, that is what it's going to be. Conversely, if you follow the law, and God forbid if you had to make a so-called good shoot, then, you know, bad guy breaks in your home at 3 a.m., you're yelling at him, don't come up the stairs, don't come up the stairs, my family's here, just leave. They come up the stairs and they start charging at you with a knife, and you have to put one shot center mass. The fact that you were maybe running a 4.5-pound trigger as opposed to a 5.5-pound trigger, if that's all the prosecutors got, I'm feeling pretty good about that, all else being equal.
And when we're talking about mechanical modifications, and I go back to something, you know, we all remember the very first thing that we heard, and we've talked about it before. You know, my uncle told me, you know, someone of authority told you, but one of my very first self-defense classes was with Masad Ayub many years ago, and he pointed out that in the old days when people still carried 1911s, not that people do often, I'm
like 50 years ago.
Yeah, I'm going to get calls now
I'm
about this. Yeah. That shooters would sometimes pin the grip safety of the 1911, and drill a hole, drop the pin through, and make sure that pin safety or that grip safety was pinned down, so they didn't have to worry about engaging that before they started shooting. And Moss stood up in front of the classroom and he said, and the prosecuting attorney is going to say, this person deactivated a safety mechanism on a firearm. He is, by virtue of this, completely negligent. How can he have made the right decision on when to shoot this guy in self-defense? And that has kind of stuck with me. I'm certain that it's something that can happen. Is it something that does happen where a prosecutor says, you know, this guy removed the safety from his gun? Of course he's being negligent. You know,
I've seen prosecutors characterize any bullet that expands, hollow point, soft point, as so-called cop killer bullets in court. I have also seen cops and judges characterize full metal jackets, i.e. bullets that do not expand, as being military grade and nothing that civilians should own. I have seen prosecutors claim that I think it was 167 rounds found in the same home constituted some sort of hoard or stash.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So, look, just like lawsuits, people can claim a lot of different things. And I'm less focused on what they can claim, although there has to be some weight given to the fact that if we choose to make modifications, we are opening ourselves up to attack where maybe there was none previously. I'm much more focused on what happened in the facts of the case. And don't get me wrong, modifications to your firearm are absolutely part of the facts of the case. But at the end of the day, if you made a good shoot and all the evidence supports that, God forbid if you have to do that, that will be the priority over whatever kind of backdoor options the prosecutor may have to impute intent or mental state of mind or purpose as to why you made those shots. I'm not condoning or endorsing modifying safeties, to be clear. I'm only talking about modification of triggers, and I caveated that before, and I'll do so again with the qualification that these are responsible. If you're going to be doing competition shooting and you want to be running a 1.5 pound trigger, I'm not saying don't do it, but that's a different tool for a different sport, competition shooting, as opposed to the very real life or death struggle of what can happen in a self-defense situation. Different tool, different job. Leave it for that job.
Yeah. So the modifications, it boils down to this: is if it is involved in the facts of the case, then you're going to have to spend time with your defense team defending what you did. And this goes, right down to the engraving on the barrel, look here, wait for flash, and the Punisher grips and the all of that other stuff. For me, it gives a prosecuting attorney something else to talk about if he doesn't have a really good, solid case against you, for making a mistake in your self-defense incident. And characterized that way, suddenly you got to spend more time defending, the silly thing or the modification you put on your gun, rather than talking about the fact that this person was trying to kill you and you stopped the threat.
Well, right, and let's play this out a bit so folks can kind of see how this would work out. Is that the prosecutor would have to be using this to show that you're some sort of aggressive, bloodthirsty killer, not somebody who is out there to actually save lives by protecting yourself, your loved ones, and so forth. Playing this out into an actual case, a lot of it may have to do with just, frankly, dumb luck of what were the witnesses, how many video cameras were around, and so forth to document exactly what happened. Because if 3 bad guys attack you and your spouse, and you have to use a firearm to defend yourself, and there's no video cameras around, one bad guy goes down, the other 2 buddies, if caught, good chance they're going to say something very different from what happened. So that's where, we've got a fact pattern where maybe we're going to trust the guy who isn't the 10-time convicted felon or whatever the case may be, and his or her spouse. But it doesn't change the fact that there's some daylight there, as opposed to, we've got this on camera from 6 different angles, 12 witnesses said substantively the same thing, that this guy tried to murder that guy, and he happened through education and training to come out on top. So the first scenario is a scenario where the prosecutor can try to crowbar the facts and try to leverage the case potentially by using those modifications, by using even the trigger modification, the safety modification, the Punisher logo, the smile, wait for flash, all that to show that, you can't trust this guy either. Look at his Facebook posts, look at his social media history, look at his emails, look at all the different things that we've subpoenaed about his life and have ripped things apart, and have talked to his friends and done all these different things about what he said on poker night, or while playing Xbox. So let's update that expression a little bit. All those things can come back to get you. And we don't know if you are involved in a self-defense shoot what the context of the evidence is going to be there. And hopefully you've got the crystal clear, 8K cameras rolling from 12 different scenarios with audio, or 12 different angles with audio. Realistically speaking, there might be some to none, grainy, and a lot of things happening off camera. At least that's my experience with this. Understanding in urban areas, that's very different than suburbia, and which is again very different from rural. So I don't know why you would play that game of handing the prosecutor weapons to go after you, but understand that there's also a hierarchy of okay decisions to really bad decisions as far as what you do online, what you do in social media, and the types of modifications that you choose to make to your firearm.
Well, thanks again, Tom. Your insight is always super helpful. I really appreciate you coming here to help us out on stuff like this. Folks, thank you for staying all the way to the end of this video. And like I said, we've still got that gun giveaway going on. It does end soon. Down in the description, click on the link. We'll let you know what type of brand new gun you will have a chance to win. I'm Kevin Michalowski, Director of Content for the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. If you like videos like this, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification bell. We'll let you know every time we come out with a new video. Until then, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.